What is it? Huh? If you want to, let me try this again. Okay, I think we should be all right. We have an interesting thing going on with the podcast and on the signals and everything. But we're thankful and grateful to everybody for being on. I don't know. We might have lost the podcast. I'm not sure. It looks like we got YouTube back up and going. All right. So prayerfully things will be there. It's interesting. It's not letting me come on for whatever reason. I don't know why. All right. Well, I guess we lost the podcast. So I guess I'm sorry about that. I don't know why we're having issues. There we go. All right. Hopefully everybody's on the podcast and everything's well. Alrighty. So, but yeah, so we're dealing with a lot of those things, and we're dealing with a lot of those items. We're in a position, in a situation where we have to recognize and comprehend and think about the fact that we are, we have to begin to do our best uh, um, to grow and to make things our business that are our business. Yeah, separation is what destroys that skin folk and kinfolk. BS is Willie Lynch. Lynch. We got a whole series on Willie Lynch. We have a few of them actually. So I get what you're saying as far as Willie Lynch, as far as colorism, ageism, sexism, plantation. Crying out Brooklyn, where Brooklyn at, where Bronx at, where Staten Island, all that stuff. I get what you're saying as far as that, but yeah, there's a Sambo, and I don't look at Sambo. Fine, if you want to say Sambo is still family, fine. Sambo is family that I need to be careful about being around. Right. That's what I'm saying. So contextually, if we're gonna be correct on it. Right. I got people that are well, I won't go personal. How about just in general, just because somebody's black doesn't mean they mean me well. All right. If you believe that Obama meant you well just because he's black, then that's probably why you voted for him. But if you're saying what you're saying as far as Willie Lynch, I would assume that you would recognize that all these presidents set a bad precedent for us as a people, and we probably shouldn't just believe what they have to say just because they're the president. So that's more so what I'm talking about. That just because somebody got black skin doesn't mean that I'm gonna just be like, oh, okay, whatever they got to say is valuable just because they black and they out here locking our people up. That's why people voted for Kamala Harris, because Kamala Harris, who had just finished telling y'all how racist Joe Biden was, she forgot to tell you that while she's working for him, she forgot to tell you in the build up to everything that, oh yeah, she was locking our people up. Right. So she black and everything, but just because she black don't mean that all kinfolk or skin folk is kinfolk. So just because those things were happening don't mean that I'm supposed to make sure that I'm with them no matter what they say. That's my point when I say that, right? And that's usually the point when we say that, the context of it, right? There's certain things that we should take literal. Sorry, y'all. Midst of all this stuff going on. Right. But I say not all skin folk is kinfolk. I'm saying it for a reason. I think that we get the reason. Right. I'm not saying all skin folk ain't kinfolk because I think that all black people are bad. See, that's the thing. Once again, that's not our business. You said we all have one creator. What does that have to do with that? I get it. Hopefully, I don't get no copyright thing, because as soon as I start pumping this gas, it's gonna come on here and they're gonna have all the stuff on the news and everything. So hopefully, YouTube doesn't come up with a copyright strike. But what does that have to do with anything? Song in the background. I have no clue what that song is. If it's yours, though, do what you do. like if we're talking about not all, see when I say that, right? And when somebody hits us with that, once again, that's like an overreaction. It's an overreaction, right? It's an overreaction to what's being said. It's a straight overreaction to what is said, right? Especially if you hit me with the creation thing, read your Bible to the blessing. What is the book of, what does Romans chapter 9, verse 6 say? How you doing, Cash? I'm 2.5, yeah, right. What is Romans? Oh, okay. What does Romans chapter, 9, verse 6 say? Not all Israel is Israel. What does that mean? Yeah, it's a trauma response, right? But what does that mean? What is Romans? Do you know what Romans 9:6 says? Not all Israel is Israel. What's the context of it? Romans chapter 8. Let's go before that. Romans chapter 8, verse 19. It says, "Now the creature is waiting on the manifestation of the sons of Elohim." It makes a distinction between creature and sons. Not every creature is the son of the Most High or a child of the Most High. Not every child of the Most High. Well, every child is a creation of the Most High, but not every creation is a child of the Most High. See, we don't even comprehend. Once again, we got to go cultural with it. We're having an argument about something, and we're not on the right path with the argument. And if you're on the podcast, we're about to probably got about 5 minutes left before our 2 hours is up. So if you want to jump on YouTube or you want to jump on TikTok, feel free to do so. And thank you guys for being so patient today. Y'all can see stuff is a little all over the place. We're trying to make it work, right? But not everybody. The Bible tells us that. If you want to go to the Bible tells you that not all skin folk is kinfolk. Romans chapter 10, verse 1, it's my heart's prayer that all Israel would be saved. Verses 2 and 3 says that there are some people, though, that decided to be about their own law and make up their own version of the law, and therefore they lost the promise. They became scattered. That's what your Bible says, right? We always say, read your Bible, it'll bless you. Your Bible makes a distinction between those that are faithful and those that are not.
There are risks behind Joyce, like heroin.
You said because some Israel took Gentile ways, so they're not Israel. I mean, that also makes it a point to say that Israel was making up her own laws. And some of those laws were based off of Gentile, but let's not make the mistake that everybody who didn't believe was also automatically a Gentile. That's not how that worked either. Gens were a specific type of people. So if you were a Gentile, you were people that came from gens, that had gens-like behavior. So even in that, right, we think that we'll tell people Gentile basically means non-believer, but that ain't true.
Every day.
Gentile was talking about a specific people. Now those people carry certain beliefs, but there can be a Gentile that decides he doesn't want to carry Gentile beliefs. But then that becomes something, once again, that we're trying to make something that's not our business. It's not my business to judge somebody's salvation. Somebody, and just because somebody believes or doesn't believe what I say doesn't mean that I have to put them in a guilty category. Even the word child, you have to comprehend the word child still means you have to be accepted. See, we're going off of this modern thing and these modern principles where we don't even raise children correct anyways, even within the modern principles. But we're going off of somebody else's stuff. Like, do you know, I got my son in the car, so I don't want to use this word, but I'm going to spell it out. The word B-A-S-T-A-R-D. B-A-S-T-A-R-D. It doesn't mean that you don't have a father. And it doesn't mean that your father's not in your life. That's modern society's thing because we got a lot of fathers that don't raise children. But that's not what that word means. That word means that your father does not accept you. That's what, so to speak, right? As far as what England considers to be their first king, his name was William, the B-A-S-T-A-R-D. It froze when I started saying that. Okay, so the word B-A-S-T-A-R-D, it doesn't mean that your father It's not that you have no father. It doesn't even mean that your father's not in your life. It means that your father does not accept you. So like Queen Mary, Bloody Mary, she was considered to be a bastard. She lived in her father's home, but her father basically said, like, I'm not going to make you next in line for the throne. I don't accept you in that position. That's why she was known as a bastard. Like, not because of the fact that her father wasn't present, not because she didn't know who her father was. If your father doesn't accept you, that's what makes you that. Your father cannot accept you, and especially if you're doing things that are anti his kingdom. That's usually how it works in monarchy. He said it's not like brother is way out. We siblings, same blood, but he is not my standard. And their separation. Yeah, and that's what we're saying. Like, and people know what we're saying, but once again, people are arguing about somebody, really what we're arguing is somebody else wants us to be committed to certain things. Like people will be like, man, that's that Willie Lynch stuff. Willie Lynch is the one that doesn't want you to be brothers. Willie Lynch wants you to not call your brother this or whatever. Willie Lynch wants me to accept my brother's foolishness. My Willie Lynch doesn't care about me being brother. Matter of fact, Willie Lynch doesn't want me to be a father. It's interesting that somebody would bring up, fatherhood and Willie Lynch or brotherhood and stuff. Willie Lynch said that he didn't even want us to be fathers. And Willie Lynch said that the older black man should be against the younger black man, and the younger black man should be against the older black man. And he said the same thing about women. And he said that women should be against men. Why? So if I'm saying that people who uphold that standard we should be careful about, why is it that like I need to look up Willie Lynch? I comprehend what Willie Lynch said very well. But we're not arguing Willie Lynch. We were arguing, once again, our business, and we're trying to make somebody else's business our business. I'm not in the business. Hear me well, right? If you want to quote me on something, quote me correctly, right? Hear me well when I say this. I mean every word I'm about to say. If you are in the business of making sure that my people are mismanaged, then I am in the business of making sure that you are not part of my community. Hate me all you want. But you don't hate JFK. When JFK had it to where you were going to make sure that the March on Washington was going to be something that was going to make sure that there was real change, and all of a sudden he put the big six in charge to make sure that everything you were asking for, not one thing was done. But you still vote Democrat. So why is it right? But you'll uphold the Democrat thing and say that he's the lesser of two evils. He still did you evil, bro. He still did you evil, sis. Right? Obama was not in the business of doing anything that was of value to my community. Obama wouldn't make sure that his own people were given anything, but he made sure that other people could be married. But he wouldn't make sure that we had something that stopped us from being hung from trees. He's not in the business of helping my people. That is the stuff that I'll bring out in public all day, every day, because that mindset has to be destroyed. You know how many people were telling us that there was no such thing as racism? What was that, 2008, 2009, whatever? There was no such thing as racism anymore because Obama was going to be voted as president. Get out of my face. And for me to call it out and to say that he's not my brother is for you to say, oh, well, you that's Willie Lynch. No, he brought a Willie Lynch mentality to you where he said that, hey, this light-skinned brother, right, colorism and stuff, look up to him. And now, because he made it, think about how ridiculous this is in the head, right? Think about how ridiculous this is in the head, brothers and sisters. Because Obama got voted in, and now you see a black president, it means now you can be anything that you set your mind on. For what? Why is being the president of the United States of a corporation the standard in the first place? Well, he's the leader of the free world. You ain't free in his world. What are you talking about? That's not our business. It's not. And people get mad and frustrated and want to say that I'm wrong and this and that. Like, when has your people been the business of the United States? Outside, now you've been their business as far as you made the money, but when has you been at your best as a people? When has that been their commitment to you, the United States Corporation? Somebody tell me, please. Somebody show me when black people being at their best was the identity of the United States Corporation. Was it when they wrote the Constitution and they told you that you were a slave, and they told you if you were native, you were a savage? I'm sorry, they didn't use the word slave, they used the word bond. Because you were stock, and so you were bond. You had a bond on you. That's what you are. And white people don't even get it. These people who are talking about white, black people, even the so-called white people don't comprehend that you stock too. That's why you got a bond on your birth certificate. And you arguing for the beast. The beast is the one that says that you can't even buy food unless they say you can, and they don't even sell you real food. Why are you arguing for the beast? People that are free in this world are not connected to the beast. That's why you go to other countries. That's why in America during COVID, y'all were so free that you couldn't. That once you had to actually be in a house, y'all were so free that once you had to be in a house, you had 75% divorce rate. But you go to other countries that are not part of the same beast, they got 7% divorce rate, and they think that's a problem. Before COVID in 2019, or well, 2019 COVID already existed, but before COVID happened and you got to 2020 and y'all started worrying about this stuff, like y'all were already at 50% divorce rate. Now America's at 75% and trying to get back down to 50, and we acting like that's a powerful thing that we can get back down to 50. For every marriage there's another marriage that breaks up, right? Like, what in the world had you even thinking? Whose culture is that to have you believe that? You said, what's the business plan for the land? The same thing we've been talking about. Making sure first that we have, first of all, even if we did nothing with it, could I tell you this? Even if we did nothing with it and we had land, if you were able to flip that land and get twice as much as what you bought it for, you already won. But we're not just doing that, right? We're buying the land. We've talked about the same thing. You're growing food. That means that you can eat. That means you have health. That means you live longer, right? We're trying to make sure that we build homes on there that we can live in if people so choose to live, or if they just want to do something, self-sufficiency. You want to make sure that you're able to have your own marriages. You want to make sure you have your own contracts. You want to make sure you have your own business. I mean, I can keep going on talking about the sewage treatment, talking about we want to have water, talking about that we want to provide, talking about we're going to flip that into other land eventually, and then have land state to state to state to state. But some of that stuff ain't everybody's business, so I'm gonna leave that alone, right? If you want to talk about the land, all you got to do is make sure that you contact about us, and somebody can hit you to it. Amen. You know your culture, calling from Yahweh, and know Yahweh's voice, and knowledge, intimacy. You said when you were cousins of past presidents, Obama was groomed for the president position. Yeah, of course, of course, right? But it's not my goal. See, even in that, like, see, can we keep it 100? I'm not coming against UCAS per se. I'm just putting this out there, right? That we had this mentality, well, the land and blah blah, put it out there for free, this and that or whatever. Like, there are people that are invested in the land. And so those that are invested, they know more about the business. And it doesn't mean that you can't ever come to the land. It just means that right now people have shown an investment in it. And so why would I give things away that they working hard to make sure, and there's certain decisions that we're still trying to make sure we get done behind the scenes, and certain work ethic and things like that. So yeah, and why would I put it out in public on this format? There's certain things, like we said, remember we started off by saying there's certain things in your life that are rated X, rated R, rated PG-13, rated PG in general. And G is general admission. Certain things are for everybody, right? PG means certain things we got to make sure that there's some guidance over as parents. PG-13 means that there's certain things that if you have a certain age or position, you don't need to be worried about. Rated R means certain things are restricted to you. If you ain't in a certain thing, period, you ain't allowed to come in. And in X, there's certain things that are just intimate. So if y'all want to learn certain things about certain things from now on, it doesn't make sense for me to put out certain things. But when we're talking about our business, I'm trying to talk about how is it that we get back to a place of even recognizing our business. That's one of the reasons why we need the land. The land is a place where we can have these conversations and we don't have to worry about, is there a camera? Is there this, that, whatever? Are our children learning through somebody else? Like, think about this, how you can teach people. Be like, I teach my children this all day, every day. Okay, you teach your child all these things, and then they go to school for 8 hours and they have to pass tests on lies. Who do you think's winning if you only can teach them 30 minutes a day and somebody else is teaching them 8 hours a day? Like, we need to have a system in place. You got to put something systematically in place that allows you to be systemic. What is our system? See, that's my business. That's our business. And that's what I said earlier. Anybody who's anti that, then it's my business to make sure that you ain't part of this community. At least not, you ain't part of it living with us. Right? Just can't anybody, I'm very loose sometimes with who can come on and say whatever, and sometimes you can be on a live, but can't just anybody come up here speaking whatever they want. You know how many babies watch this stuff? We got babies around the world. There's babies that I know by first name and never even met them in person yet. And they listen to this stuff. Sometimes they listen to this stuff and they're so used to the system that they don't even think that what I'm saying is real. I won't mention the baby's name, but there's a baby that came to Passover and he actually didn't think I was real. He met me, he was like, "Oh, I didn't know you were real." And started talking to me about some things or whatever. But he heard my voice every day, but he's used to hearing me. But then he goes in the system that makes it be like, "No, this can't really be real." Like what he said, it makes sense. And he said it. I've seen him on TikTok and stuff. Spitting some of the same stuff I spit. Right, 4 years old. Started doing it when he was 2. So I've seen him, and I've known, right? But he didn't even think he could be. Now, hey, yeah, I'm touchable, I'm tangible. Hey, the same stuff I'm talking about. You see, I live it the same way you see me dressed on the line. Yeah, I dress like this in person, right? So the things he had a rated G version, right? But then when he got to come into restricted space, he was like, "Oh, okay, so you really are about that. Oh, your son actually does have the same hair that you have. Oh, okay, he plays just like I play. Like, and we can be in a different system and still be, about the business of the Most High, and we can actually exist." A lot of people don't believe this thing because they haven't seen this thing. That's first and foremost when it comes to the land. Just having the land and a place to be able to meet, whether it be 100 acres, whether it be 1,000 acres, whether it be whatever. Just having a place we know when we walk through it, this is ours, and you will see what we designed for you to see. That's what's missing. Said the live tweaking is going in and out. Yeah, traveling on the road right now. Prayerfully, it'll get a little better. But like these are things we have to recognize, and we're once again trying to go by somebody else's standard.
You have me teared up over here. I didn't even know about the little boy who said you're over in 2020. Who was at the protest, and like I was fighting.
Yeah.
I was like, bawling because I'm like, we have 4-year-old babies out here fighting for us. Like, what did we do? Like, how did we fail? How did we go wrong? But it gives me hope. You said this little boy is like looking at you and saying you're real.
Yeah, it was actually his grandmother that told me about that, and then I started talking to him, and he was like, "Yeah, I didn't think you were."
Real?
Because a lot of people talk, and a lot of people don't do. Thanks for the love, Sister Deja. Right? A lot of people talk, but a lot of people don't do. And so that's the main thing we try to do with the land. First and foremost, that's what happens. People start going, "Wait a minute, oh, like this is real. Like, wait a minute, like I actually have a place. Even if I just wanted to come and spend the weekend there in a tent because you ain't even got nothing built yet, I actually could go somewhere and know that I would be safe." Like that's of extreme importance. That's extremely important. That is extremely important. Extremely powerful for somebody to know that it actually exists. It's really hard for people to come together on one accord because a lot of us are doing something where it's like our expense, or we don't really believe it's tangible because we keep coming through somebody else, and all they've been telling us is that we ain't real. Like, think about that. Like people don't know they're a straw man, but society tells you every day you're a straw man. Like we had somebody on today with that whole long debate and everything that was going on. We got people on talking about that if you don't agree with them, that what you say can't even be real. That facts over feelings, but feelings are facts. So I feel a certain way about society. Somebody says, but it's not. I say that it's fake news. Like, think about this. We believe that you can cancel somebody, cancel culture. We believe you can hit a button and that person therefore won't be on social media. Because they won't be on social media, what they say is, since it's not going to be on social media anymore, it means that that person doesn't exist. That person is still a real person. Like, we're real people that need to be represented. Right? Like, we're not just talking random stuff. Like, these are real issues. These are real issues. We were raised by, like, our grandparents were children at one point, and we have not connected this to from to generations. Oh, you want to pull over? Yeah. I'm sorry. What we stop? These are real people. These are real people going through. Yeah, my wife is thinking about, I don't know if guys, if y'all remember, there was a 4-year-old little girl, and she was marching, and it's a black girl, and she was holding the sign and stuff like that, you know, when the Black Lives Matter stuff during 2020, you know, and these are real generations where, just like she was looking at something, her grandmother was a little girl at one point looking at something, and her grandmother was a little girl looking at something. And we keep telling people that that doesn't matter. We keep telling them that's old news. We keep telling, but we keep repeating the same cycles. We keep repeating the same cycles, right? So it comes to a place where at some point our business needs to be, what do we do to correct the cycle? What do we do so that when you're somebody's grandparent, you've healed enough to where you're not allowing certain things to come? Okay, looks like we might be back. So, what are the things that we're going to do? That allow us to be there. We have, and here's the deal. And maybe, you know, I was looking at next month, trying to start where. Well, actually, yeah, next month the minister is that's going to take over for Shabbat Shalom. Maybe we need to go into a series. I was talking about it before, and one of many different things you guys have been asking about. But maybe we need to just talk about healing, because we have not been allowed to heal. You know, and so we haven't been allowed to heal. And I think it's fine, to cry to do something because we haven't been allowed to heal. And sometimes, you know what's interesting about healing and doing life coaching and stuff like that? When I talk to people, I realize a lot of times people don't even necessarily know they need to heal. And then you hit something and they realize, wow, I haven't gotten over that. I haven't forgiven that person. I haven't stopped with toxic behavior, whatever you want to call it. I haven't realized that I'm a problem. I haven't realized that I wasn't protected. Like some people believe, yeah, I had a mother and father, everything was straight. And I started talking about certain things. They'd be like, wow, my parents never did that, or blah, blah. And parents can raise their children differently. But what I'm saying is, it's like, just because you have a mother and father doesn't mean you always have a great thing. We've been blessed to have great parents. Great, well, at the end of the day, though, it doesn't mean that everything I needed to see. My father didn't know how to say I love you until I was an adult. Now he says it every time, right? So even in that, he had a chance. He needed that chance to heal, and he never was told by his father, "I love you." You know. So there's generational things that have to happen, and there's traumas that we have to be honest about, and we have to recognize and realize and be aware of the fact that we're fighting for certain things that still need to be there. You know. And so that's why I talk about all the time. When people talk about reparations, sure, if you ever could get reparations, that's great. But what about inward reparations? What about the reparation of self, right? Not PAIR, but repair. PARE, that means to pre-cut, to cut something out. Also to cut out something else so something else can grow. You know why you prune or why you cut bushes and things like that? You cut and prune bushes because you want new growth. You know why? Sometimes the best thing you can do for a forest is actually allow the forest to have a forest fire. It's because it allows things to burn. You said your father told you for the first time when you were 12. Yeah, a lot of men were not raised. A lot of men, not just black men, a lot of men, period, were not raised to say you're supposed to say I love you to your children. You know, um, And sometimes some stuff has happened because of overcorrection. Sometimes we become so much, and I'm gonna give them everything. But some, our fathers did a lot of great things and set a lot of great examples, for us. But they were people trying to heal as well. And people are having trauma. That's really what's going on. Is we're arguing the trauma. You're not arguing about what's going on. It's the shadow of death. It looks like something that happened. The shadow. It's not death, but it looks like something that happened to you a while ago. And so, since it looks familiar to you, you're like, it must be death. You grew up seeing so many bad things. You grew up seeing something that was not normal. You grew up seeing inconsistency. You grew up seeing things that you had to survive. Like, we went into survival mode, and we think that survival mode is a great thing. It's a necessary thing at times, but it's not great. Animals are just trying to survive. We're trying to thrive. There's a certain stress that's on it, right? Even for the hunter's not walking around. The hunter's stressed out. If the hunter doesn't, the hunter misses. Some of these. I don't remember what the statistics are. I want to say, like, when a lion hunts or something like that, or lioness hunts, I think there's something like 30-40% chance that they're going to catch something. But there's a group of babies, depending on that. Right, we're not supposed to be in survival mode, but we've been taught to have animalistic behavior. We're not supposed to survive. We're supposed to thrive, and thriving looks a lot different than surviving. So, but it has to become our business to make, after all these things we talked about and all these different things that came up and all these different conversations and all these different coming at each other and fighting on different things and all that, at the end of the day, like, our business needs to be ultimately survival. Ultimately, our business needs to be the business of surviving. If our business becomes the business of surviving, then now I'm in a better position. And my business needs to be about my people survive, or not just surviving, but thriving. My business needs to be about my people actually knowing who they are. My business should be about making sure that they comprehend Kiswahili, Lingala, Avda, Ivrit, etc. It used to be a normalcy. See, we've been in somebody else's system for so long. So they say, stop speaking other people's language. I hate when I go to McDonald's and somebody speaks with an accent or whatever. It's like, man, shoot, where we come from, we're supposed to have like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 languages that we speak. That's normalcy for us. But in survival mode, you get rid of everything, right? It's like with health. It's like when you're dealing with health, concerns, and your body does something to, that's not natural to survive. Your body comes up, sometimes tumors and things, they're things that are just, they're not natural, but your body comes up with them because it's trying to actually take care of a bigger problem. Or what's the thing in the classes on? I'm sorry,
Fibroids.
Fibroids says, yeah, fibroids. Those are not natural, but your body says, we got to survive. We got to do something. And then you get enough of them, and now you got a problem. But you surviving, sure, but your body's not designed to survive. And somebody gets you right. It's not just designed to survive; it needs to thrive. That's why Bible says stuff like it's, that He wants to give us, peace that surpasses all understanding. Peace that surpasses all understanding. You can stand under this one principle, this and that, but there's supposed to be a peace to overcome you. Even if you're in a position that's a little painful, you should still be at peace. And we're not there. And that's what our goal is here. So anyway, that being said, thank you. I come to an end. I don't really have much more to say. Women's meeting tomorrow? No.
We didn't make an announcement for people to get their stuff. I mean, we guess we can
Okay.
do it now, and people, we can do it.
Well, I guess if those who would like to, we can try to do a women's meeting tomorrow. I guess at 7.
Yeah, 7 to 9. It's it will be painting. We need to have your supply, or you don't have to have.
Oh, okay. So
You
if you come into the women's meeting, try and have slides as far as maybe do painting, but just try to come on as sisters to come together for women's meeting. Men's meeting, we'll try to see if we can do one maybe around 5. I know it's impromptu. Minister Kevin's trying to make sure he sends out the information to everybody. As of yesterday, But now that we got a team and admin and stuff, things should be better in that regard. But if you'd like to come by and spend some time with us, feel free to. I'll try to see if I can send something out to everybody, or see if we can get also the word out to those who communicate via phone. And so we'll be looking at it. But I guess what, paintbrush and maybe something to paint on. I don't know if you have to have a canvas per
We
se,
don't have
but
to have canvas. We're just being artistic and expressing ourselves, and we paint, and at the end we may show people we paint if we feel like it. It's gonna be open discussion about anything you feel like talking about. Really, last time we got into like spiritual gifts, we got into a lot of stuff. Like we usually go do a lot of topics.
All right, so there you heard it from the Honorable Maya Bloom and Flourish. Check her out on TikTok, YouTube, and her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish.
Yes, so 13-year-old can attend. So.
Oh yeah, 13-year-old can attend. There you go. So I'm on. So we'll try and make sure we talk about it and add that in again later this evening. Add it in again, and talk about it again tomorrow as well. We appreciate you all. Thank you so much for spending time with us, and we appreciate you as always. And we look forward to talking to you soon. And as always, it's been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being a voice of the voices and speaking the unspoken. Please study this word, meditate on it so that you can hear it, also apply it as a doer as well. And remember, as always, just that you are loved, you're necessary, you're majestic, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom. Talk to you later. And if I don't see you this evening for whatever reason, here's the early Shabbat Shalom to you as well. Peace.